Well, it's March and the brackets are out. And for the first time in my life, I don't care.
Bradshaw to inbound. Lofton for the win. Oh! Did we just see what we think we just saw? Wow! Jim Boeheim and Syracuse have done it. Back from the dead on Easter Sunday.
And that's weird for me to say because this is my thing. I clear my schedule the first weekend. I fill out my 4 little brackets. I'll get in an argument with someone I've never met online over a 12 seed. Then pay $50 per bracket to enter in a pool with Duke winning all 4. Damn! But I'm looking at this bracket and this just doesn't feel right. And I can't figure out why. Something's definitely off, and I don't know if it's one thing or a bunch of stuff just happening all at the same time. But the feeling I used to get is just not there anymore. And I want to know what actually took it, because this didn't just fade. Somewhere between when I fell in love with this tournament and now, something definitely changed. And I think someone already saw this coming back in 1998 in a Spike Lee movie.
You didn't read the paper that day, son? Ah! Real splitters, that's right. So Jesus.
So a couple of days ago, I did something that I don't normally do, and I haven't done in a long time. I went back and I watched He Got Game, top 3 basketball movie of all time. Chef's Kiss. And I'm not even gonna argue about that. It's a 1998 cinema masterpiece of a film by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington and Ray Allen, who plays Jesus Shuttlesworth, a high school basketball phenom, and of course, Public Enemy on the soundtrack. It's the second best song made for a movie of all time. He Got Game. Chuck D, Flavor Flav. Yeah, boy. I rewatched this movie because I wanted to feel something about basketball again. But that's not what ended up happening. I'm watching this movie and there's a part early on where Jesus' coach, after practice, walks up to him and just hands him cash in his hands. Just like it was nothing. And at that time in like 1998, I thought about this, and this was the part of the movie that was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. A coach paying his best player under the table, and Spike Lee framed it like it was this radical thing, like it was like this turning point in the story, like it was supposed to be deep, and you were supposed to be like, ooh, I can't believe this is happening. So I paused the movie there. This type of thing is no longer a scandal. It's pretty much every day. It's every athlete. That's literally the NIL right now. Kids have agents coming out of high school. They've got LLCs before they even get a dorm room. Also, coaches aren't sneaking cash anymore. They're selling the programs to these kids like they're venture capitalists. So I keep watching, and there's another part in the movie where Jake, which is Denzel's character, is released from prison, but by the governor of New York. Not because he served his prison time, but because the governor wants Jesus to commit to Big State, which is the name of the state college. So a state politician releases a man from prison so he can be a recruiting tool for his own son. Now in 1998, this is supposed to be the darkest part of the movie. Oh my God, I can't believe he's risking everything. Oh my God, he might get caught. Oh my God. Oh, you know, you're supposed to feel a little uneasy, a little tense. But I'm also thinking about it, and we've all seen boosters do worse than this. Schools are literally bidding against each other in public. There's a transfer portal that opens during the actual tournament. Because this is one of the greatest basketball films of all time, I kept watching, but I quickly ended up having to pause and then rewind. Not because the movie got better, it got a little real. For instance, every single thing that Spike Lee put in this film to make us feel like the game of college basketball was broken. All that stuff was literally put there to make us go like, oh God, that's crazy. All of that is actually legal now. And it's not just tolerated, it's legal. So now I'm thinking that there has to be more to why I feel the way that I feel about March Madness now. So I started pulling on that thread. And that led me to a very interesting question. Did a Spike Lee movie become the blueprint for what the NCAA is today? So now, like I always do, I started looking into it. And I didn't have to look hard at all. Because in 2021, the Supreme Court ruled against the NCAA in a unanimous decision. Not even close. The court said that the NCAA had basically been running a illegal monopoly on athletes for decades. Literally billions of dollars flowing through the system, and the players couldn't touch any of it. That ruling itself cracked everything open because within months, the NIL became an official thing. Players could now get paid.
Brown says UNC lost 5 recruits due to programs not following NIL rules.
What's going to happen with NIL? What's going to happen with the people that are just giving them money up front?
That ruling changed everything. We're talking 17,000 deals were made in just the first few years. Schools started setting up collectives just to pull booster money together to hand it out to recruits. There's now a whole review system where the NCAA checks if a deal has a valid business purpose. And currently like 500 of them have been rejected that we know of. But the part that I found kind of weird was that the NCAA tried to fight this, but they didn't try to fight this because they thought paying players was the wrong thing to do. They fought back because this was about to change their whole ecosystem, how the NCAA made their money. Because for the NCAA, the product isn't basketball. The product is March Madness. CBS and Turner are paying $8.8 billion for the broadcast rights through 2032. ESPN just added another $920 million on top of that. And that's not for the players, that's for the tournament, the events, the Cinderella stories. All of that runs on one thing: complete, incomprehensible, controlled chaos. The whole reason March Madness works is because it's madness. What other sport can a 14 seed knock off a 1 seed? Some random JUCO transfer that nobody's ever heard of can hit a game-winning shot and change his life forever on national television. That's the thing that fills out 70 million brackets every year. Then you got the players that sit out because they don't want to mess up their draft stock. Rosters are turning over every year through the portal. And when you have kids who would have been Cinderella stories, but they get recruited away because of bigger schools giving NIL deals, maybe it's starting to make sense why March Madness has lost that feeling. It's starting to disappear. And when you think about it, March Madness without madness is just March.
For the first time since the tournament expanded in 1985, the Sweet 16 is comprised entirely of teams from power conferences. Some people are quick to blame the NIL and transfer portal for the death of the Cinderella, or maybe it's just a one-time anomaly.
So now you have a $10 billion media machine whose product only works if it stays unpredictable. And then there's a system that just made it legal for the biggest school to have the ability to buy every advantage that they can find. Did anybody in charge actually think this through? Did anybody think what would happen when these two worlds collide? Spike Lee was asking this very same question back in 1998, and nobody was listening.
Basketball is like poetry in motion.
I started pulling the receipt on the money side. And I started seeing something I both was and wasn't expecting: betting. And I'm not talking about your regular office pool bets that you throw with your coworkers that you don't like, but legal, regulated app on your phone, bet from your couch, sports gambling. In my research, I confirmed that college basketball is one of the most bet on sports in the country, March Madness specifically. The American Gaming Association estimated that $15.5 billion was bet on in the 2023 tournament alone. Billions on a tournament played by college kids. But where it gets crazy is, do you know who else knows how much money is being bet on these games? I'll give you a hint. The players. They're 19 and 20 years old. They're getting DMs from strangers telling them what the spread is, telling them that they cost somebody a lot of money, and telling them things that are a lot worse than that. The NCAA's own data showed investigations into betting-related activity across 20 different schools. Players are getting approached, threatened, and even in some cases, players are placing bets on themselves.
The legitimacy of sports rests on fair competition, earned outcomes, and honest play. We expect athletes to embody the very best of hard work, skill, and discipline, not to sell out to those seeking to corrupt the game for their own personal benefit.
So now I'm thinking about He Got Game again, because in the movie, everybody around Jesus was just trying to profit off of his decision. The warden, the agent, his coach, even his uncle. But at least in the movie, Jesus could see who was in the room. It wasn't like today where you have social media where just anonymous people can just flood you with threats and weird messages. He could at least see who was pulling on the hem of his garment. Now, though, the people profiting off of these kids don't even have to be in the same building. They're on an app, and there's millions of them. And the NCAA knows this, because this is the same NCAA that just made NIL legal, which is the same NCAA that profits off of tournament broadcast. They also signed a partnership with the betting platforms. So now check this out. The NCAA makes money from the broadcast. The betting companies make money from the wagers. The schools make money from the NIL collectives. And the players? The players are the only ones in the building with something to lose. And it's not money either. It's their future. And nobody that's in charge seems to think that it's a big enough problem to solve before cashing the next check. I grew up thinking that this was the purest thing in sports. The only place where an outcome couldn't be bought, just to find out that it was up for sale this whole time. And if you follow the thread all the way back, Spike Lee made He Got Game in '98, and at the time we called that a cautionary tale. But it wasn't. It was a documentary. We just hadn't caught up yet. If you think this only happens in college basketball, watch my video on how the Cowboys use marketing to become the most valuable team in sports, but will probably never win another Super Bowl again. Peace.